Hello, Nicholas here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a fairly interesting topic that I want to talk about. A little bit of history is that my PhD and a lot of my work that I've previously done in my research was about romantic relationships, was about dating. I spoke to a few experts in the field and, did a lot of surveys. Now that I've had a few relationships over the years, now I'm happily married for the past 6 years, about there, so 5 to 6 years, just sort of celebrated the 6-year anniversary. But yes, enough of my dating life. But that was a whole topic about dating and marriage and, relationships that I've always been interested about. And then there's the other side of the coin, which is actually about UX design. So I've been doing design thinking, design innovation, and these two worlds have never sort of merged into one. I've always found that a bit difficult, but I thought, hey, actually there are some similarities. All right, so let's kick off. The first one I really want to talk about is that a user-centered design approach is what we commonly describe in design. Right, we talk about how we have to be user-centered, how when we're creating products or services, we need to better understand what the user is doing. We also need to better understand what their goals and objectives are, right? So when we're thinking about that, it is actually very similar to dating as well, right? Because you have a partner and you need to understand what your partner's needs are. You need to understand them a little bit better. You need to understand what their challenges are before we can do anything to, appease them or, please them or, bring them joy and so on and so forth, right? Things that you're talking about bringing happiness to that particular person, we need to know what really makes that particular person happy. If you're talking about, for example, something as about love language, right? What brings a person joy, right? Being user-centered in your relationship is also very similar to what we typically look out for in terms of UX design. So, right? So that's number one, user-centered approach. I also think that there is iteration. We're being very iterative in design. We always talk about how design is about being iterative. You try something, if it doesn't work, then you go and try something else, right? Whether that is food or whether that's, how you engage or how you communicate with another person, being iterative within that approach is also very important, right? So, you maybe you're going out on a date and then you're trying to sort of figure out where is good for you guys, where is a nice place, what kind of food both of you will like. I think that's also very similar to, when we do designs. For us, when we do designs, whether it's a screen or whether it's a particular prototype or physical prototype, we will have to try different ideas, right? And we have to make sure that those ideas work for that particular context. We may find that this works for another project, or this may work for another product, but we may find that actually when we bring it to our problem that we're trying to solve, it doesn't really match very well. Then it's okay, we go back to the drawing board and we try again. So there is that very iterative approach that we're used to talking about in design. It's also very similar to dating as well. So these two worlds that we're sort of having that's a bit different, actually there are some similarities as well. The other one, which is a big word, I think I don't think it's that complex in terms of what we're talking about, but building empathy, right? I think empathy is required both in dating and in UX design, because you really need to put yourself in the other person's shoes, what they're trying to achieve. So we always talk about users, right? Our users or our target audience. What's the goal? What do we try to get out of them, right? Or what are we trying to sell so that they are happy with the purchase, of our products or services at the end of the day. So, and similarly, when it comes to dating, you really have to have empathy to be able to understand what your partner is feeling, being able to understand what challenges they're facing, and really just sometimes just putting yourself in their shoes, all right? Because, in relationships, things can get very heated. We can get, egos will come in. Sometimes you argue about something and an argument, or you have some disagreements. It's really worth building some empathy for your partner and trying to make sure that there are two two topics that, or maybe trying to find just a point where both of you can agree on. But that really starts with building some kind of empathy between the two of you, right? The next one I thought about is actually communication, right? So communication is really key, right? Being open in communication with your partner, very similar to being open in communication with your different stakeholders within the organization, your clients, your designers, your internal team, whether it's front end or back end. You have to communicate very clearly what each group needs, and so on and so forth. So similarly, in relationships, you also have to be very open in communication. Don't hold things back, because the more information you may hold back against one person or the other, then you're gonna make things a lot more complicated for each of them as well, right? So always keep some kind of open communication for them as well, right? The next one I thought was quite interesting with regards to romantic relationships and UX is that it's design is always about has always been about experimentation, right? You're experimenting a particular color, you're experimenting a different material, maybe you're experimenting with the location or the scale or the timing of your particular product or your service. In a relationship, similarly, right? You sometimes want to experiment in terms of how you guys deal with solutions. You want to sort of experiment how both of you react to certain things, experiment in terms of the food that you guys are eating, but basically you can even experiment in terms of how you communicate, right? How you communicate with each other, and there's a lot of new tools that are out there as well, how you communicate with your partner. This it's always good to experiment and try new things, right? So the experimentation part I thought is something that's quite interesting, that is related to both relationships and to UX as well. Then the last thing that I thought was quite interesting about romantic relationships or dating in general, as well as UX, all right, it's really stakeholder management, right? I left this to the last one because I thought this is a very big point, right? Stakeholder management, actually, if you think about it, you're not just marrying one person, right? Or you're not just dating one person. That person has their friends, their family, their parents, right? Their relatives, their good friends, their best friends, whoever it is, right? It's, of course, you may not be heavily involved in their lives, or they may not be very heavily involved in your life as well, but their perception of you, their comments, what's being said, what you say to them impacts the relationship you have with your partner as well. And similarly in UX or design, the design world that I'm living in, right? I always have to manage the stakeholders, different types of stakeholders, whether it's my designers, whether it's my manager, my boss, whether it's my teammates in another department, whether it's the development team, whether it's the business team, with the client as well. All of these people are stakeholders, and it's not easy to be able to manage all of these stakeholders and all of their concerns or all the things that they are, or maybe the problems that they are dealing with. Sometimes, a lot of times we may think, oh, that's not my problem, I'm going to leave it aside and push it to someone else to go deal with, right? But yeah, actually, if you think about it, in dating, you need to sort of consider some of these things a little bit more, and really better understand why people do particular things as well. So yeah, something to consider. And dating as well as UX is actually more. There are more similarities than you would think they have. I thought I used this time to also pitch a little bit about the book that I've written with a colleague of mine called Daryl. So this is a design and innovation for everyone. We've got 5 chapters of how design thinking is or design innovation is very practical in the lives that we have, right? And it's very important, and we can do a lot of design in the world that we're living in. So if anybody is interested to buy the book, I've got the link in the description. I've also got Daryl's contacts if you want to have a chat with him. But yeah, this was hopefully this was a useful video. If there's anything else that you guys want to sort of listen about in terms of design or maybe even dating, let me know. I thought I'd just revive the channel a little bit with this particular video. And yeah, it'll be great to sort of hear what people have to say with regards to this. So yeah, have a good day. Hopefully this video was interesting for you. And yeah, I'll see you guys around in the next one. See ya.